You guys hear me okay?
Anthony's going to introduce you.
I'm going to introduce you, Sebastian, all right?
Okay, perfect. There we go.
Don't tell him. Can't hear you.
Yeah, we lost audio on your end, guys.
Check 1 2. Check 3 4. Check check.
It looks like they're on a laptop.
Yeah, they just switched, and that's when they lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's still on.
Sebastian, excuse me. I think she just put on the chat that you can start speaking.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Anthony.
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Anthony, can you hear me?
Well,
Tommy?
it doesn't seem like.
Tommy, can you hear? Sorry. Gotta put her on mute.
She says she can't hear anybody.
Test, test, test. Anthony? I think it started when they started recording it. Maybe that was the issue.
Maybe. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
They can hear us. We can't hear them. Oh.
You know what?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you guys.
We send a link out to this, please.
Yes. Well, now it doesn't have.
Sebastian, can you say something?
Yeah,
He
can you hear
is,
me,
and we
guys?
can hear him.
Test,
They
test,
can hear
test.
us.
Yeah, we can hear you guys now.
Oh.
Guys.
Wait, before you do that, let me just, it's right here.
Kelly, pull it up on your phone.
Here we go, I heard something. Hello?
Hello, hello.
We hear you.
Yeah, we got it.
This is crazy. Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Hey, Sebastian, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. We got it.
Okay, good.
So Anthony, how many people do we have in the office behind you?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. About 16, 18 of us here, and then we have a few online too as well.
Perfect. Okay.
So thanks for coming on, everybody. This is Sebastian from Continental Credit. Sebastian's actually in the Sunshine State in Colorado, actually. So yeah, he's a few hours behind us. But you got snow out there yet, or what?
Not in Denver, but in the mountains. Yeah, they just opened up a couple ski resorts this weekend. It's crazy.
Wow.
Cool. So guys, I'm gonna hand it over to Sebastian, and he's gonna go through a lot of everything to do with credit. We always talk about credit issues, problems, what people need to do, etc. And then feel free to fire any questions for him. I've been using Sebastian for many years. Many of your clients have been through his program too as well. When people are in a real challenge position, I kind of align them to him and his team. And he does a lot for our clients to get them more purchase ready from that end. So with that, Sebastian, I'll let you do your thing. And if you need anything from me, just give me a yell. I'm standing right here.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, like Anthony said, him and I have been doing business for many, many years. I've been at this company since the day it opened 15 years ago. So I know quite a bit about credit and more importantly, what we can do to, help people obtain that financial freedom, because everything is tied to credit and a lot of money is tied to it as well. Okay. So really what it comes down to, and you guys at any time, feel free to chime in if you have any questions. This is an open forum. I mean, I'm just kind of going to follow this template about, what we do and how it all works. And then, just feel free to chime in at any time. Okay. So here, I mean, just to kind of, a little bit of background on the business here. We've been open since 2005. We have over 200 employees, and we've really helped over 500,000 clients over the years. And I mean, all of my referrals, for the most part, I would say probably 95% come from mortgage professionals like yourself. So it's important to mention, because a lot of other companies out there, just really don't focus on the loan side of it, is, we're not only here to help repair your scores, but we're here to get you mortgage ready. Okay. And we have a proven track record. We're licensed and bonded in every state. So I feel that that's important as well, because a lot of companies are not. Okay. Okay, so just kind of the basis of what credit is. I mean, there's reports within the FTC that estimates 80% of credit reports have errors. This is exactly why I have a job, because the problem with credit is if you don't do anything about the items that are on your report, they will sit there for 7 years from the date of last activity. Okay. So we're able to get things removed a lot sooner, by taking advantage of the laws that are out there. So just basic averages, because everybody always wants to know, how long the process is going to take. I mean, it's a month-to-month deal. We average 20-point increases per month, 4 to 6 deletions per month. Based on the total volume, usually is what's going to determine that. And I mean, really the only people that I can't help is somebody that's, currently behind on their bills, or somebody that maybe is in the middle of a bankruptcy, they usually come to me after the fact. But yeah, so I mean, just how important credit is, not just for home loans, but, just everything across the board. It's very, very important to make sure your credit is in a perfect position at all times. Okay. So just, how much bad credit can cost you, just some basic numbers. So a person with a 620 credit score will pay an extra $1,300 in car insurance a year per car, which is crazy if you think about it, that they determine your insurance rate on your credit and not your driving history, which is pretty funny. But that's why when you shop around to different insurance companies, they're just pulling your credit, pulling different algorithms, and that's going to determine your rate every 6 months. The average car loan, average $200 loss per month. For somebody who has a 620 versus a 720 credit score. Credit card interest rates. I mean, it's really crazy to think about how much money these guys can legally steal from you every month if you have less than perfect credit score. Okay. So when you see somebody who you might be able to get qualified, at a 620 or a 640, I mean, even getting them over to us after the loan is closed to, clean them up and raise the scores even more, will help them not only for maybe a potential refinance for you guys 6 months down the road, but just, helping their credit out in general. Okay. Because the average house values are not going down. I mean, 30 years ago, the average house was $30,000, and today it's $300,000. I mean, I don't even know if that's even still accurate. So if at that same rate of inflation, in 30 years, the average house is going to be worth $4.2 million. So it's just that much more important to not only address these clients' credit scores, but to get them into home loans so they can stay ahead of inflation, tap into that equity, and make sure that they have a nest egg, as opposed to hoping that their 401k is going to work out at the end of the day. So just, we like to talk about return on investment. Any money that you can put towards your credit score is going to save you, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long term, not to mention being a homeowner, right? Okay, so open-ended question, guys. Can somebody tell me why there's 3 different scores on a credit report and why they're so different? Any ideas? Well, okay, so most people will say because there's 3 credit bureaus, which is partially correct, but at any given point in time, there can be 52 different versions of a credit score that can be pulled depending on where you're pulling it and what industry you're pulling it in. Okay. So when you guys in the mortgage industry are pulling credit, you guys are pulling mortgage approved FICO scores. Okay. So your Beacon 5.0, Classic 04, Classic version 2, these are approved by the mortgage industry to determine the purchasing or buying power at any given point in time. Okay. Whereas vice versa, you go to try to buy a car loan. They're going to be using an auto FICO, which is entirely different. When you go online, I'm sure you guys have seen many situations where you'll get a borrower who says my Credit Karma score is a 750, and then you pull credit and it's 45 points less. And that's strictly because you guys are using a different algorithm than what an online scoring model is. Okay, because they're not loaning you any money, so they don't have access to these specific algorithms. Okay, so it's very important to know. I mean, I guess the best way I like to put it is the more money you're applying for, the more the stricter the algorithm is going to be. Okay. So the theory is that if we can get your mortgage FICO scores up as high as possible, all the other industries are going to follow suit and be that much higher. Okay. So, and then it's also important to understand that the credit bureaus are basically data warehouses. The creditors, whether it's monthly or yearly contracts, give these the credit bureaus their information, and then they plug all the data into the FICO algorithm and then spit out a score. Okay. So there's 5 different industries that use credit scoring as a risk analysis. You have mortgage, auto, revolving, which is credit card, installment, which is car loans and mortgages, and then other or online. Okay. So just remember, I mean, at any given time, a snapshot, you could just have to understand what industry you're pulling in. That's going to determine what your score is going to be. Okay. Okay, so the reason why we're so good at what we do is because I know every single percentage that goes into a FICO score, so I can manipulate it into my favor. Okay, because it's not just removing derogatory information off of a credit report. There's the positive side of the credit score as well. So if you look at the biggest chunk, that's 35%, that's your payment history. Okay, so that's all your late payments and negative information that's on the credit report. That is the biggest chunk. So that is where the meat of our program is going to focus on, is removing these types of things off of your credit report, so that it can no longer factor into the scoring model and increase your score. Okay, but I tell people all the time, it doesn't really matter how many things I remove off of your credit report. If you're not addressing your positive credit, then and getting a steady stream of points coming in every month, then I mean, you're losing out on half the battle. So the other, or the second biggest percentage is the debt utilization, which comes down to credit cards. Okay, so I would say it's 50-50. Half the clients I see do not have an open credit card, so we can help them go out and get a small little secured card, tap into that 30%, which in the big scheme of things could be 200 points. Or if they do have, you know, a handful of cards open, we can strategize with them as to, you know, what the best plan of attack is to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to which cards to pay off sooner. Okay, because the average person who doesn't know what they're doing is typically just paying an extra $100 a month on their minimum payments, watching their balances go nowhere. And, you know, it really, it just turns into this, you know, rat race basically. So because every credit card's created equal and they cannot legally discriminate based off of your income, there's no difference between a $200 limit card and a $20,000 limit card. So we tell people to start with the smallest ones and work your way up from there. Okay. Another important piece of this is length of credit history. Okay. So basically, how that works is you only get credit for things that are open and active. Okay. A big talking point with my clients is, you know, well, I had a car loan that I was good with for 5 years and paid it off, or I used to have a mortgage and, you know, paid on that for, you know, X amount of years. The credit bureaus only care about what are you doing for me right now. Okay. Because that is going to determine, you know, your buying power and your risk assessment right now. So the second you close an account, you lose all the history that's tied to it, which is again why credit cards are so important, because you can keep those open forever. Car loans, mortgages, student loans, these types of things, they are meant to be paid off, so they don't factor in as much as a credit card will. Not to mention, you know, a credit card is a very good way to assess your spending, because you could easily just max it out and pay the minimum, or you could be responsible and pay it off every month. Okay, but going back to length of history, they take an average. Okay, so basically they look at all your open and active accounts. They look at how many months each one of them have been or has been open. They add them all up and divide them by the amount of open accounts. So the bigger that number is, the higher your score is going to be. Okay. Any questions there so far, guys? Nope. Okay. Now the next.
We have a question, Sebastian. Sorry.
Yeah, shoot. Go ahead.
Seeing his PowerPoint presentation. We're just seeing that one first page.
Oh, have you moved your PowerPoint is her question. Or no, you're still on the first page.
Oh, can you guys not see it?
Yes, that was the question. We haven't seen it move.
You have to actually hit the show button down the bottom.
Can you guys see that now?
Yes.
Bingo.
Okay, perfect. I'm looking at a wrong screen. Okay, yeah. So you guys, this is this is probably going to make much more sense now. Okay, yeah. So if you look at the pie, you can really manipulate your scores in a positive way. So going back to the length of payment history, since it's an average, like here's an example. This morning, I was talking to a potential client who has 10 open credit cards. Okay, most of which have been open for 5+ years, but last month, she decided to go to Kohl's and save 30% on her purchase and added in a brand new card into her mix, which actually lowered her score because it lowered her average. Okay. So what I recommended to her is pay that card off and close it, and then you can get that payment history back and increase your score. Okay. The next piece of the pie is types of credit used. Okay, so they like you to have a mix of installment to revolving. So if you pull credit on somebody and they just have a mortgage and 2 car loans and no credit card, that's not showing a good mix. So they would want to recommend a credit card, or vice versa. If you see somebody with 10 credit cards and no mortgage or student loan or car loan, by adding that mix into there, you can increase your score. Okay. And then new credit, that's inquiries. I get a lot of questions about inquiries, shopping windows and things like that, especially for you guys in your industry. You obviously want to try to keep your hard inquiries to a minimum. Just for everybody's knowledge, the difference between a hard inquiry and a soft inquiry is a hard inquiry is when you're applying for money. So anytime you go to apply for a home loan, a car loan, a student loan, anytime you're applying for money, okay? And I get the question all the time about the shopping windows. The shopping windows are a thing, okay? So once you are, it's the 1st of November, you start shopping around, you have 30 days where you will not get hit for those on your report. The biggest thing I see, and I'm sure you guys do as well, is if you have less than perfect credit and you go shopping for a car loan, you can see them shotgun your credit report out to 25 different lenders, and you ended up, and you end up with 25 different inquiries on your credit report, which is unfortunate. And they'll say it's to get you the best rate. So again, another reason to have your credit scores as high as possible. Okay. Any questions on the pie chart here now that you can actually see it? No? Okay. So now let's get into, what we actually do and how we can actually get it done. Okay. Because I'll be honest, guys, I don't really care what's on the credit report. It could be any of these things you're seeing on your screen, hopefully now, late payments, collections, charge-offs, inquiries, public records. If the credit bureaus are going to post these types of things on your credit report, they are heavily scrutinized by the Fair Credit Reporting Act to provide very specific evidence and documentation proving that it's actually yours. And each and every item has to be reporting 100% accurate, verifiable, and complete. Okay. So regardless of the story behind it, if they slip up and can't provide something that we're requesting, because I'm looking for every single minute detail that they have to provide: date of birth, social, signatures, addresses, payment history, transaction history, medical records, which doctor was present, which room were you in? And again, they have that 30-day window to provide it. So if you know how to beat them, or if you know what to ask for and how aggressive you can legally be with them, you can get a ton of things removed simply because they're not following the letter of the law. Okay. And I'm sure you guys look at credit reports all day. You'll see, NA or dashes, or the date of last activity is blank. These are the types of errors that we look for to expose these guys that have them removed. And the key is you don't stop. So you can legally investigate something on your credit report every 30 days. Okay. So with our services, each client is set up on a recurring schedule. They sign up on the first, whatever investigations go out on the first of every month. We're contacting the credit bureaus digitally, as well as old school paper mail. And that is where we see our highest success rates. Okay. But again, going back to, what we can go after, because again, I don't care what it is. Historically, the success rate that we have on any type of item is going to be determined by, number one, the age of the item, just simply because there's just less chances of them having the information. And then, can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
We lost your video feed.
Oh, yeah, where did it
We
go?
can't see you, but we can
There
hear
you
There
you.
we go. Okay. So So yeah, so success rate is entirely determined by the age of the item, because simply the older something is, the less chances they're going to have all that information that I was talking about earlier. And then number two is the dollar amounts. The less money that's owed on an account will typically determine how much time, money, and effort the bureaus are willing to spend every time, you know, we reach out to them. Because I mean, an economic decision eventually has to be made. Every time I contact them, whether it's electronically or via mail, money changes hands somehow, some way, whether it's, you know, the overhead costs, the employee cost, mailing them information back to the clients. So that's one of the biggest things that we bank on as well. And sometimes, like during COVID last year, they just weren't responding. They were running out of time. They were so overwhelmed. So that's a big piece of it as well, when, you know, they just don't respond. Okay. So does that make sense so far, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, now another big thing is identity theft. Okay, I'm sure you guys have seen, you know, all the hacks, including Equifax, which always cracks me up, you know, that they got hacked. But long story short, your information can be out there. Okay, so you got to be careful. We do have an identity theft department that's specific or focus specifically on helping clients that have had their identity stolen. It's also important to notice that there's a big difference between identity theft, where somebody just straight up steals your social and starts opening up accounts in your name, and then ID fraud, which is where your name is John Smith, or you're a junior, or your last name is or Joe Rodriguez, and there's another person 2 miles away that has the same name. And, you know, so those are things that we can, you know, help with as well, because at the end of the day, you might have the same name, you might have a similar social, but they have to provide very specific evidence and documentation. Okay. Okay, and then just oh yeah, the other thing I like to mention, a big thing that we run into is dispute verbiage on credit reports. I'm sure you guys see that a lot. We do have a dispute removal department that you know, offers these types of services to remove that verbiage, so you can get them passed through underwriting with no issues or concerns. Okay, because remember, at the end of the day, guys, my job is to close you as many loans as possible. Okay, I'm a free service to you. You can pick my brain anytime you want about credit. I unfortunately know more about credit than probably anybody in the country. So use me as much as you need me for that. But yeah, again, I mean, I work for you. So my job is to close you as many loans as possible. But more importantly, these days, you know, when you guys are so busy and slammed with applications and borrowers, the biggest thing I can buy you guys is time. Okay. So you guys don't have time to hold the hands of people who have, you know, 550 credit scores and are going to take 3 to 6 months to get it repaired. Send them over to us. We'll kind of put them on ice for you, create that secondary pipeline, and then let you know when they're ready to go. And then all you're focusing on is closing loans that are ready, you know, that are pre-qualified. Okay. Okay, now how it works, like I said, anybody that's in attendance today, I will make sure I honor the $100 discount on the startup. So it's $79 for the clients to enroll, and then it's $89 a month, and that's month to month, cancel anytime. Okay, so we try to keep the price point, you know, at this spot, because it really filters out the clients who are just not maybe ready to buy a house. Because if you can't squeeze in an extra $89 a month to invest into your credit, into your future, you know, like I said, you're maybe just not ready, you know, to purchase anything at this time. So it's a good way to make sure that, you know, I'm filtering these clients out for you, making sure that you're getting back to the agents who are going to have to spend a Saturday driving them around town, but they're not even willing to put time into their credit report. You know, another thing I will offer to anybody that's present today is a free soft pull on my end. Okay, so we'll take 15 minutes. We'll pull up all 3 of your credit reports just to make sure you are well aware of what's on your report, what can be done to increase your scores even more, and then just kind of show you how the process works firsthand. Because selfishly, I know if I do a good job for you, I'm going to earn your business for the rest of your life, and, you know, make sure that, you know, you guys are a good testimonial for your clients as well. Okay. So really, I mean, I don't know, my camera keeps going out. So really what it comes down to is, you know, going back, looking at who you have on your desk now, who you may, you know, present to me moving forward. And, you know, anybody that you may have turned down in the last couple months that you just didn't know about me or didn't have a resource, you know. So, hey, I found this company that's, you know, has a proven track record. Would you mind if they call you with a free consultation? Because it's always a free consultation. We're never gonna we're never going to charge anybody unless they want to enter into the program. So at least they know exactly, you know, how it all works. Okay. So, okay. So any other questions, guys? Does that make sense?
Did you have a question, Eric, before?
Well, yeah, it's more that I needed a service myself, but, when we did it for my wife's credit, it was 1,500 up front, so this is a lot better program. Basically, it takes 2-3 months to get what we need. So it's been a couple $100.
Yeah, so one of the agents here said that in his experience in the past, it's been a lot more expensive, and the results are usually great, though. It takes 2 to 3 months to get everything on track.
There are companies out there that charge a lot up front. You got to be really careful in this industry, just because in the past there will be clients that or companies that charge up front and then they don't do anything. So in order to maintain our license and bond in the state, we with the Attorney General, in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, we legally have to bill clients after the work is done. Okay, so it not only gives us an incentive to actually do something, but it protects the clients, because why would they pay us if they're not seeing the results, you know? But yeah, it just depends. Every credit profile is different. You know, sometimes we see everything removed in the first, you know, 30, 45 days just because they didn't have anything. Sometimes the bureaus will dig their heels in a little bit and fight us, or maybe one bureau will remove it and then the other two follow suit in the next couple months. But yeah, I mean, we try to keep our price point in line with, you know, first-time home buyers and their budget, because that's our primary target market.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of more of his consultation. And Sebastian, just to kind of remind you too as well, the dynamics a little bit different is the audience here today is all bunch of realtors. So kind of like, you know, when I'm calling you to speak to you about the opportunities, a lot of them could be their customers coming to me to obviously try to get pre-approved. And then at that point, I'm deciding whether or not they're worthy, they should be shelved their weight, secondary pipeline, like you were talking about before too as well. And then kind of recircling it back to them saying, hey, I got the email from Sebastian, customer's good to go now, or we've seen some big results. And as you know, I'm always following up with the buyers at that point to kind of see, hey, they might be eligible to kind of get out there or resurface again at that point too. And also too as well, when they're going through the consultative kind of piece of it, when they're talking to me for the very first time, there's no cost for that. So they're reviewing all that stuff up front to kind of see what the cost will be, what your expectations may or may not be for them, the timing of everything kind of going on too as well.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, especially doing this as long as I have, expectations are huge, because if you know, well, it goes both ways. If you know, tell somebody that you can get something done very quickly and then it doesn't happen, or vice versa, then, you know, you're going to lose the trust of the referral source. You're not going to get any word of mouth referrals from them, you know. So that's how we've been able to grow so large and organically over the last 15 years, is just by, you know, being very honest and upfront with people. But you also have to get results. I mean, if you're not increasing people's scores on a monthly basis, especially these days with how, you know, people monitor their credit so closely online, you know, you're not going to get anything back in return. So we pride ourselves a lot on that. But on top of that, like I said, I mean, it comes down to making sure that you're always focused on getting the client mortgage ready. Okay, because you can sit there and remove a bunch of things, but there's other underwriting guidelines that go into getting somebody pre-approved than just a credit score, you know. So we are very familiar with how that works as well. before I did this, or before I started here, I was a loan officer back in 2006, right before the market crash. So, I mean, I do have some sort of familiarity in the industry as well. I know things change all the time. They don't make it really easy for you guys, but um, that that can always help in the long run.
Absolutely. And we're on the phone, guys. I'm on the phone with Sebastian, sometimes every day, multiple times a week. We're kind of always circulating back our clients to kind of figure out what's going on with them. Because a lot of times when I speak to a buyer and I tell them that their credit scores are potentially lower than where they want to be, or they don't qualify at the present time, the big goal at that point is obviously trying to get them buyer ready. Now, it's one thing if you get them just ready to get pre-approved. It's also another thing as far as, hey, I want to get my credit scores as high as possible. Because like you mentioned before too, we might get them pre-approved ready, but their scores are going to be lower, their interest rate's going to be higher. They may pay a lot more in private mortgage insurance or PMI at that point also. So we have that conversation with the clients to say, hey, you're ready to go. What's your time frame? But half the time when we create for customers, what do they want to do? They want to buy a house like immediately, like right away, right? So the big thing is kind of just getting them on the straight and narrow to kind of come up with a plan for them, and then again provide that secondary pipeline. So hey, Mr. Client, why don't we wait a couple months to get you ready, and then you can afford much more at that point.
So it's less of a rapid rescore or.
Of course, and I could do that stuff internally with us, rapid rescores. If I see a little blemish on people's credit that I know we can make a quick advance, or hey, we can bring someone in to co-sign, or whatever the deal is, I'm kind of mitigating and controlling that stuff. I'm really aligning, Sebastian, folks that kind of need that longer play, right? They need more time, they need multiple months to kind of really play this out. It's hard when you get somebody and there's a lot going on credit. That's not my expertise, that's his expertise. And yeah, there's a cost involved for it. But with that being said, he kind of takes them on that journey to kind of get them fired, which is huge.
Yeah, and we can, or I don't know how often you go onto your portal, Anthony, but you can log into your portal at any time, see who's current, who's not current, who's following the directions, progress reports, things like that, so that we're always staying in front of them, because we're going to follow up with the clients. I mean, obviously they can call us anytime they want. There is a small team of us here that's dedicated to, everybody that's on my team. But yeah, we follow up the clients on day 45, check in. Hey, have you been able to open up that secured card that we recommended? Have you been seeing, things coming back in the mail? And then we typically will follow back up with them again on day 100, because then that's the time where we have 3 rounds of deletions. And then if they had to get a secured card, they have 3 months of history on that. And that's when we start seeing some good increases in the score. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, it's really just gauging how motivated these borrowers are, because a lot of people have that head in the sand mentality where they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how credit works. They just throw their hands in the air and they say, you know what, I'm just going to wait 7 years for things to fall off. When they have a 5-10 minute conversation with us, they realize how easy it is. We do all the work, and we don't charge a lot, so that they can actually have a light at the end of the tunnel for them.
And a lot of people
I have
think
a
that
question.
well. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Hey, so you were talking a lot about monetary and credit cards and, money and numbers. What about legal? I had a client recently who had an eviction notice brought upon her that shouldn't have been. She didn't have a dog. They said she had a dog, but even though she didn't have a dog and everything was fine and it never went to court or anything, she still has that eviction notice on her record and she doesn't know how to get it off. Now, do you guys do that too?
Yeah. I mean, anything that's reporting on the credit report can be investigated at any given time. Now, if she happens to have, additional paperwork to back up the illegitimacy of the account, we can send that into the bureaus as well. But yeah, I mean, anything, like I said, anything that's reporting onto the report, it has to be showing that it's reporting 100% accurate, verifiable, and complete. Okay. So that's definitely something we would want to have a conversation with, because I mean, that's probably showing up as a, collection code 9, which is a huge detriment to the score and is, something that we want to try to have it removed for her. Absolutely.
Okay. I'll have her get in touch with you.
Yeah, again, it's always worth the conversation, because I mean, if you don't do anything, it just sits there, and you'd be surprised how lazy the credit bureaus are because they have millions and millions of people to worry about. So if you can, really pin them down and force their hand and, really gauge how much time, money, and effort they're willing to spend to keep it on the report, you'd be surprised how many things can actually be removed.
Okay, thanks.
And Sebastian too, as well, when people have like delinquencies and stuff and everybody feels that 7-year kind of window, does it just automatically fall off? Or a lot of times you see stuff on there that's super old and it's been sitting on there for years, like 10, 15 years.
Yeah. So in a perfect world, the statute of limitations on any given item is 7 years from the date of last activity. But I look at credit reports every day that, they just forgot or nobody reminded them. Or another thing that happens is the item will get sold to another company and start that date of last activity over brand new, so yeah, that's another reason that you want to contest every single thing on your credit report, because a lot of times, you'll see things on there a lot longer than they should be, but you got to force the issue or it just sits there. So yeah, that's a very common situation, unfortunately. Okay, anything else, guys? Any other questions?
Just how are we going to get your information?
I'll get it out to you, Mark.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, Anthony, if you wouldn't mind, just shoot me over a list of everybody so I can follow up with everybody individually. Again, I'm more than happy to do a free soft pull on anybody's personal credit report to make sure that, you're not getting blindsided by any random things showing up or there's items on there that you're not aware of. Again, you got nothing to lose. It just, 10 minutes of your time. And then it's a good way for me to show you how the process works firsthand.
Great.
Thank you. That's
Thank you,
awesome.
Sebastian. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right. Well, hopefully we'll be in touch. And Anthony, let me know if there's anything else you need, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah.